Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about races within Ashes of Creation. Quickly before we get into the video, I'd just like to leave a massive thank you to anyone who's checked out the videos. It means the world to me, any feedback that you've left, and also people saying that the videos have helped them be able to actually understand what's going on with the game and it's helped them out. It means a lot and thank you very much. So today's video is basically going to be covering who are the different races within Ashes of Creation, where do they come from, what are they about, all that sort of jazz. So within Ashes of Creation we have 5 different races: the Tulnar, Aela Humans, Pyrian Elves, Kaivek Orcs and Dunzenkell Dwarves. 4 of these, being the Aela Humans, Pyrian Elves, Kaivek Orcs and Dunzenkell Dwarves, have their 2 sub-races. The Tulnar do not have any sub-races. If you're looking to check out a specific race, I'll do my best to leave a timestamp in the description. Hopefully that affects the actual time bar on the video. If not, hopefully they'll be there in the description for you to be able to transverse through the video anyway. So let's take a quick look at the world as a whole and the races within it. Long ago, the world of Vera was besieged by a great calamity brought about by the primary antagonists of the world, the Ancients and the Others. A corruption befell the land, twisting and perverting every facet of nature, spawning hideous beings of every description, from troll-like creatures to towering behemoths. Nothing escaped his touch. Granted by divine intervention from the goddess of creation, much of the population fled Vera through towering gateways, seeking refuge in a world void of magic, the world of Sanctus. Some unlucky citizens didn't make it through the gateways in time and fell back to the planet to fight for survival. Soon after the exodus, the gateways dimmed and became dormant. Centuries turned to millennia, burying them beneath the myriad of calamities. Over eons, history became legend. Then even the great legends were at last forgotten. The Tulnar evolved as a combination of the 4 parent races that were left behind on Vera. So now that we've got a general view on how the world works and how the races came to be, with the 4 primary parent races coming together to produce the Tulnar that were left on the world of Vera, then now let's look into the Tulnar themselves. The Tulnar fled to the Underrealm to escape the corruption that befell Vera. Tulnar are not a result of the corruption. The Tulnar is a combination of the 4 major races and any minor races that were left behind on Vera after the apocalypse. Tulnar are not restricted to the Underrealm. The Tulnar stands for the Forgotten. Tulnar is the only race with the capability to adjust racial appearance in a significant manner. Tulnar race does not have subtypes, instead players will be able to customize the appearance of Tulnar characters. Players will have dials to adjust the reptilian, mammalian, humanoid and other attributes of their Tulnar character in the character creator. Tulnar have a starting area that does not involve a divine gateway. Before we carry on, let's clarify what a divine gateway is. Divine gateways are portals located in the ruined cities of the 4 ancient races of Vera. Divine gateways are where players first arrive in Ashes of Creation. Each divine gateway is in proximity to 1 or more starting areas. Players can choose their starting gateway, and this choice is not restricted by their choice of race. Even though the Tulnar are not affiliated with any of the divine gateways, they will have the same option to start at the divine gateways as all the other races. Within the world, there are points of interest that exist to represent Tulnar NPC structures in a similar fashion to the starting areas around divine gateways. Unlike the other races, the Tulnar won't be returning to Vera. Instead, they will be returning to the surface from the Underrealm for the first time in generations. The Underrealm itself does not have a divine gateway. The Underrealm is a rich environment where bioluminescence abounds from the fauna and flora that exists there. These deep caverns and underground valleys provide new destinations for civilization to develop. Bringing the node system into the depths of the world may awaken darker creatures than on the surface. Next, let's take a look into the Aela Humans. The Aelan Empire is the most recent successor of the once great House of Lyneth. For over 1,000 years the House of Lyneth ruled over the Aela. A golden age endured for most of their reign. It was only during the last century before the fall, during the Great War of the Undying, that the house fell. With no suitable heir to the line of throne, the country fell into chaos. What arose is the fragile republic we see today. The Aela Humans are split into 2 races, the Kalar and Veilun. If we look into the Kalar, we can see that they're based around build, order and civilization as their foundation principles. They consisted of the large old world empire and intend to do the same in this world. They are extremely loyal to their roots. The Kalar will rise to the challenge. And if you're interested in how their appearance might be within the world, the Kalar have a European racial influence. If we look into the Veyloon, trade, law and hardship are their foundation principles. The Veyloon were forged in the heat of the desert and through the ages become a blade that bends but does not break. Through development of a complex web of relationships and savvy negotiation, the Veyloon grew into one of the wealthiest empires in Sanctus, despite having few natural resources to exploit themselves. Their environment has taught them what it means to kill or be killed, whether through the beasts of the desert or the snakes in the market square. If you're interested around what the rough racial appearance for the Veyloon are, it has a rough Middle Eastern racial influence. Next up, let's look into the Pyrian Elves. For over 4,000 years, the Pyrian royal family of the Eredol has endured. The kingdom itself has seen its fair share of wars, and its current borders encompass the Great Forest of Aranthia. The capital of Amira is among the oldest and most beautiful cities in the world. The Pyrian royal families can trace their lines back to the days of dark fires. The Pyrian universities of magic and martial studies are unparalleled in the lands of Vera. Many of the citizens of the kingdom venture out into the lands of Vera, wishing to spread their knowledge of art and science to their fellow Verans. These ventures are often subsidized by the royal households of Pyria, for it's hoped it will foster a better relationship with their human neighbours. Once a close ally of the Aela and the House of Lyneth, the Pyrian kingdom and Aeline Empire ended one of the bloodiest wars in Veran history. 80 years have passed since the last bloodshed, and although tensions have subsided among the citizens of the two nations, there remains a heightened level of distrust among the Empire's new rulers and the royal family of Pyria. The Elven race is generally a secretive one, and exists within the Pyrian kingdom. Primarily a patriarchal society, elves tend to keep within the natural borders of the forests. It has only been of the past millennia that the Riverlands has begun to see colonies of elves exist. Elven scholars, dignitaries and pioneers can often be found in many of the human cities, though their presence is rarely seen in sites other than archaeological, academic or diplomatic. Looking into the Pyrian Elves subrace Empyrean, imperial pride and culture are their foundation principles. Though not as numerous as the Kalar, the Empyreans are a force to be reckoned with. Elite military forces and a highly structured government, the people of Empyrea surely have a plan to carve out their place in the world. And if you're interested appearance-wise, the Empyreans have a Greco-Roman imperialistic feeling. If we look into the Pyri, the other subclass of the Pyrian Elves, nature, balance, fury are their foundation principles. All things come to balance in time, and nature always has her way. Don't let their love for nature fool you though. The Pyri rarely take prisoners. Whether with bow or by spear, the Pyri's legacy will take root. The Pyri architecture has a woodland inspiration, and if you're curious about the appearance of the Pyri, they have a Native American influence. Next up we have the Kaivek Orcs. The Kaivek have always adhered to a strict code of tribal loyalty, and roughly 13 centuries before the fall, a leader named Rankal united the clans into a nation called the Kaivek Protectorate. Kal taught that all orcs answered to the protection of the Divine Order. This teaching expressed the belief that it was the will of the gods that all orc kind should have superiority of the nations of Vera, for it was only through the unity of the clans that the people of Vera would be led to enlightenment. It was the teachings of Kal that led the Kaivek to pursue campaigns of conquest throughout the lands of Vera, where the orcs were once a nomadic and divided before Kal. Through his leadership, they became a powerful nation united in conquest. Just before the fall, the Kaivek Protectorate adopted a policy of peaceful coexistence with their neighbours. Having endured centuries of conflict, leaders rose among them, echoing the teachings of the peace. These recent reformations have once again begun to lead a fracturing of the Protectorate. Some unrest among the clans have called for a culling of those who are unworthy of the protection from the Divine Order. The Renkai, the first subrace of the Kaivek Orcs. Honour, power and tranquility are their foundation principles. Through staying centered, their power only grows. The Renkai believe in ultimate focus and controlling their immense power. When a Renkai becomes enraged though, there aren't many men or beasts who can live to tell the tale. The other subrace, the Vek, celestial, purpose and fate are their foundation principles. When one stargazes, they find the beauty that lies beyond our world. When the Vek stargaze, they find fate lies beyond our time. Star maps, numerology and prophecy are all integral parts of each Vek's life. Great leaders read the heavens for how wars will go, which empires will rise and fall, and the Veks often ask themselves, are we too late? The Vek are astrologers. Racial benefits may include navigation on the open seas. And if you're curious about what the Vek appearance might be like, they have a Mesoamerican racial influence. Next up, we have the Dunzenkell Dwarves. Deep in the mountains of Vera, legend tells of a forge created by the gods from whence all dwarves originated. Fabled to be the first created of all major races, the dwarves are said to have arrived on the continent with ships made of stone and steel. Dwarven smiths and craftsmen are found far and wide across Vera. The Dunzenkell nation, deep within the mountains of Vera, exists the oldest nation in the world. The Dunzenkell have been known as many times over the ages, but only one name has graced the highest mountain, within which their capital has stood since the beginning of recorded history, Dun. The dwarves of the Dunzenkell rule throughout a council of guilds. A royal family is chosen once every 200 years by this council to rule. Currently, the right to rule falls on the shoulders of King Grimly. It has been nearly 400 years since a king has led the Dunzenkell. Traditionally, this role falls to the matriarchs of the family. Expeditions are often sent to the Underrealm from the Dun, and there, many believe, lies the source of secrets among the dwarves and their success with mastering artisanship. Untold magic lies deep within Vera. Its source is not known to many. Dunzenkell has long benefited from this source though, and has fueled the expansion of the dwarven kingdoms throughout the northern mountains. Dwarves are closely connected to one another by alliances forged between family guilds. The dwarven child is marked at a young age with his or her guild sigil. Some dwarves banished from Dunzenkell, or having chose to walk a path alone, will often have their sigils burned from their skin. For the first subrace of the Dunzenkell dwarves, the Dunir, stoic, tradition, forge are their foundation principles. Most of the people of the old world see a mountain and think nothing of it. The Dunir saw a defensible home where riches abound. The Dunir take immense pride in the craft what they build, fortifications that seem impregnable, warhammers that never break, or beautiful gems for their royalty are all in their repertoire. Don't be deceived by their stout stature. They're pound for pound the strongest warriors the world has ever known. Facial hair is the characteristic of the Dunir, not the Nikua. Female dwarven beards will not match that of the male. It'll be more of a braided option. If we look into the second subrace, the Nikua, family, freedom and courage are their founding principles. Where the Dunir saw the mountains as a home, the Nikua saw it as a prison. How could they complete the great hunt inside a cave? Their craft of their brothers doesn't elude them though. They are two highly skilled artisans. Instead of jewelry for nobles, the Nikua see crafting as the rite of passage and advancement for the family. Facial hair is the characteristics of the Dunir, not the Nikua. And if you're curious about a rough appearance of the Nikua, they have a rough Polynesian influence. As of recording this video, this is all I could really find on the specifics of races. However, there is some additional overall information. Each race does have a unique mount. Weapons and armor are not race locked, but armor will take on a racial appearance. Racial appearance of gear is focused on armor but not weapons, and the racial appearance of the gear set is tied to the character model of that race. Each race has different base stats, and races are not gender or class locked. Some classes may work better with certain races, but nothing is enforced. A player's choice of race will influence their racial augments. Stat growth proceeds in the following order. The race seeds a player's base stats, the primary archetype grows the base stats, and the secondary archetype does not contribute to stat growth. Racial augments are based on a character's race and are available to each class. These apply to abilities on a character's primary archetype. They affect how the ability works and can also apply cosmetic effects. As mentioned in the node video, nodes will take on the architectural appearance of the race who contributed the most towards its development. For example, if dwarves contributed the most to a node near the mountains for instance, then the town would have a dwarvish aesthetic. Or perhaps if humans contributed the most towards a node, then the architecture would have a human aesthetic. This itself then changes at every level of development based upon the race that contributes the most towards the development of the node. Hopefully this has covered enough about the races that you were looking for. If not, please feel free to leave some feedback or leave a comment below the video and I'll try and do my best to answer any questions you have. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video and I'd like to thank you for checking out my other videos. If you have any recommendations or any feedback, please leave them as usual below in the comments section and I'll do my best. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a like, and if you want to catch more Ashes of Creation content or stick tuned to what possibly could arrive in the future, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time.